I'm going to upcycle the stool and I'll show you how to do it. I'll be using stencils to paint some leaves onto the stool, but you can skip this step if you prefer. I'll walk you through the process, showing you how to prep, paint and protect your piece. You can upcycle any piece you like, it doesn't have to be a stool, but try to pick something nice and easy to start off with. You'll need some sandpaper, a couple of paintbrushes, a microfiber cloth and a stencil if using. You'll also need some paint in your choice of colour. I've used grey for my base colour and green and blue for the stenciled leaves. You'll need a primer to prep the piece and varnish to protect it. Keep watching for product information. Start by giving your piece a good clean with a damp cloth and then leave to dry. Grab some 120 grit sandpaper and scuff sand to provide a key for the paint. Once you've sanded, wipe clean with a damp cloth to remove the dust. And now you're ready to prime. I use Zinsser Bin Primer for my projects. I think it's the best primer on the market because it has stain and odour blocking technology, it ensures the paint can adhere to the surface and it dries within hours. However, this also means it's one of the most expensive primers available for purchase, so you might prefer to use a cheaper one when you're starting off. B&Q is a great place to shop for tools, there's always loads of selection suiting a range of budgets. Apply an even coat of primer all over, making sure there's no drips. If you're using bin, you'll need to work quite quickly here as the product takes on a glue-like consistency once it starts to dry. Once you've applied the primer and checked once more for drips, leave to dry. Before the first coat of paint, gently sand the surface using 320 grit sandpaper just to remove any dust in the primer. And now it's time to apply the first coat of paint. I'm using a roller for a nice smooth finish, but you can use a paintbrush if you prefer. I use premium grade specialist paints for my furniture refurbs. The brands I typically go for are Johnston's and Dulux Trade, but I'd recommend Valspar as a great budget-friendly alternative for home projects. Once you've applied the paint, check for drips and allow to dry. You'll need to apply at least 2 coats of paint. If you're stenciling, grab your stencil and your other paints. I find it best to use a round brush and dab the paint on to avoid bleed under the stencil. You may want to use painter's tape to secure the stencil to the piece. Again, leave to dry. Finally, it's time to protect your piece. You'll need a top coat to protect against scratches and other damage. I've used Ronseal interior varnish for this project, but there's lots of brands and finishes that work great. I've used a roller again, but you can use a paintbrush or cloth to apply the varnish if preferred. When you've finished, check for drips and then leave to dry. And here's my final piece. I'm thinking about adding some mustard yellow or dusty pink leaves to the top, as I think that would look really nice. If you've watched this video and created something, I would love to see your final piece.